Hello everybody and welcome back to another episode of Tribute to Our Heroes. Today I am joined by one of our fellow veteran interns here at the Soldiers Angels office headquarters in San Antonio, Texas. Our next guest is an Army veteran of 18 years. She has served all over the place and has a very colorful, tremendous career. She is probably one of the most charismatic, animated personalities within our office. She's been an intern here for 8 months. And from what I understand, she has no plans of going anywhere. We love to have her here. We love to have her energy fill the office every day. She really is one of those people that you can't help but smile around. And if you're not having a good day, she'll say something to get you smiling. She really is just animated and fun. And like I said, we love having her in the office. She also has a very strong passion to help any veteran, but more importantly, women veteran who feel underrepresented with a lot of suicide prevention mentioning and sort of ideas. And she wants to be an advocate for a lot of women veterans out there who may be suffering from suicidal thoughts. So in light of Suicide Prevention Month this month, I would like to introduce Miss Ayauna Barnes. Thank you so much for joining me today.
Thank you. I'm actually honored. And that's why I harassed you, because I was hoping for this opportunity.
Of course. You know, I know we always joke around, banter back and forth in the office. It's kind of the culture around here.
Yes.
We're all for it. We love it. But you know, it's anytime there's a veteran here, worker, intern, volunteer, does not matter. If they ever want to have an opportunity to share their story, to share their experiences, to say something, we like to give them the platform. So we're honored. I'm honored. I'm happy that you're here willing to do this. So yes. Everybody, welcome back to another episode of Tribute to Our Heroes. Today I am joined by Miss, go ahead and introduce yourself.
Ayauna Barnes.
Thank you. Miss Ayauna here is a veteran intern. I'll let you introduce yourself however you see fit. By all means, go right ahead.
Okay. Again, I'm Ayauna Barnes. I am a retired U.S. Army veteran. I'm also a disabled veteran. I lived in a dual military home. My husband is also a veteran. We have 6 children and raised them while serving. I'm a Libra, amazing. There's just so many things about me that I don't know how to share, but that's
a good way to start it off. You know, the list can go on and on.
It is.
Yeah.
When you're me, it will. It can.
Sure. I get started with all these interviews. You already kind of mentioned you were in the Army, retired. Tell us where you're originally from.
So I am originally from California, born and raised. Lived in the Bay Area up until the time that I enlisted and joined the Army.
Gotcha. That's like what, San Francisco, right?
Yeah, San Francisco Bay Area, but I grew up in a place, a little small. It's not small anymore. I love my hometown, Vallejo. I was born in Berkeley, but lived in Vallejo, California. Small town, but amazing talent that came from there. So we are furthest north, so we are North Bay. My grandfather was in the Navy. He was stationed at Merritt Island Naval Base, and so we lived there. You could take a quick ferry across to San Francisco, or you know, head right and you'll be in wine country.
You ever go back just to visit? You got family there still?
It was kind of weird. So all of my family, with the exception of my immediate family, still live there. But once my grandparents passed, I had only gone back for a funeral.
Gotcha.
So for 26 years, that was like my nexus and my safe space. And since then, not many reasons to go home.
Yeah, every once in a while, maybe. Yeah, makes sense. So I know, so you joined the Army. What made you want to join the military in the first place? Did you get any kind of inspiration from other family members, or what was your calling, so to speak?
I'm going to be honest. I initially was joining for financial stability. I had a very interesting, colorful childhood, and as a result, you know, I had lived with my grandparents after moving. My mom was just doing the best she could, and unfortunately, there were many times where the best she could do was bring home a pie from the bakery where she baked, and we'd have to eat that for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. We, you know, she can't pay rent, or we can't, you know, eat. So experience homelessness and things like that. And I always wanted to be an actress.
Really? I can see it.
Right?
I can definitely see it. I mean, you got the loud personality for it, that's for sure. Very expressive, I'll say that much, yes. I
was born, I'm the most cliche California kid, theater kid. So at like 9 years old, I was jumping on subways and going to auditions instead of going to school. But yeah, so that was my original intentions. And then life just really happened. And I knew after getting my first job and being able to kind of help my mom, I realized we needed the financial stability. And so it was my first, I don't want to say my first choice, but I knew that that was a safe bet because I came from a military family. Bonuses, my brother was serving. He and I shared the same MOS, actually. And so I joined because I knew that he'd think it's cool. Of course, you want to always, you know, look cool to your older siblings. And it also came with a bonus.
Gotcha. So, and what was your MOS?
So originally, I am what was formerly known as a 54 Bravo, now a 74 Delta. For short, we say chemical operations specialist, but since our footprint has expanded and what we do within the MOS has, the title, this is a long one, y'all, chemical, biological, radiological, nuclear operations specialist.
Wow, that's a title right there.
Yeah. And loved it because I got to do a lot of cool things, but the last few years of my career I spent as a detailed recruiter, meaning it wasn't my MOS. They forced me.
Into recruiting? Yeah. Was that out here in San Antonio?
Yep.
Oh, okay, gotcha. What year was that? Just out of curiosity.
Oh, it had to be 2010 because I went to recruiting school on 2 January 2010. So from then, you know, we were thinking we were going to do a 3 or 4 year tour because my oldest son was in high school. So I'm not sure how it worked with the other branches. I'm going to assume it's the same, but you can stay in place.
Gotcha.
And so we came here as recruiters.
2010, huh?
Yep.
And you've been a Texan ever since.
Actually, I'm a Texan above everything.
Really?
I need to clarify that because I spent 17 years of my life in California. I've spent over 2 decades of my life.
Right, I think you overlapped it. Yeah.
So now, I mean,
that's awesome.
I'm from here.
That's awesome. I think you beat the wave of all the other Californians coming here. You were the first one here. You're like, you did it before it was cool. Yeah.
I do not want to have that conversation.
Yeah, there's so many Californians moving out here, especially to Austin. And they're starting to trickle down to 35 into North San Antonio.
Listen,
you can see the influence, you know?
You'll have to restart this interview if we even go down that path. So we are not going to address that. But yes.
So yeah, Texas, great state.
Lovely.
That's why people are moving here. We can agree on that. All right.
Indeed.
Okay, yeah, that's awesome. So you ended up joining, you're doing all this stuff. Tell us more about your MOS. What was that like? Was it fun? Did you like it? What were kind of the more bigger things that you would do?
I loved my job. I also was a nerd growing up. So I was very young in high school and I graduated at 16. I was such a nerd that I completed all of my science requirements as a freshman.
Oh, wow.
So, and then I took it as an elective.
Gotcha.
So, science was a big motivator in regards to choosing that MOS as well. And it's a cool thing because it is one of those MOSs that has to be at least somebody that represents or has the training in every unit across all branches. And so I was able to serve in a chemical unit, but after then I served in amazing, like I was in aviation, had flight status, engineers, and then a whole lot of time in air defense, transportation, the whole gamut, actually.
Gotcha. So, 18 years in the Army, that's a long time. That's a really, really long time. I guess looking back at it now, being obviously retired now, separated, got some time to really get your life back into the civilian sector, all that stuff. But obviously it affected who you are, obviously. So what kind of, I guess, how do you think it shaped your character professionally and maybe personally after serving those 18 years, looking back at it now?
18 years, again, interesting story, childhood. I came from my grandparents that had very strict set of rules and believed in traditions. My mom, total opposite. Had no rules, no curfew. She knew I was responsible, didn't like to be out in the streets. But I liked that structure and realized that I needed it for my health. When I joined, I did not know I had PTSD. I was diagnosed actually in basic training, just having endured trauma. And depending on, well, I guess it isn't dependent, but in my case, the traumas that I experienced in my youth, I can reflect back now and know that I needed that structure because I knew that I had control over my space. Do what you're told, know your job, be technically and tactically, proficient. I didn't realize I was going to love the Army the way I was going to love the Army. I wasn't someone, even when I'm out of uniform, in the near 18 years of service, people didn't believe that I served. You had to see me in uniform. But I loved being a soldier. Everything about it, just knowing my job, it had become my identity, and I took it very seriously. Came out to recruiting, and my passion for the Army, my passion for knowing how it changed my life, how it benefits my life, how it still pays for, I'm still receiving the benefits of my service. In recruiting, finding those prospects or applicants who wanted to join for whatever reason, I was totally invested in that. And so when recruiting was different, because it is about missions, and it's no surprise, so Army, don't be mad at me, but there was a time in Texas, unfortunately, where we had a high rate of suicide amongst recruiters. I had several friends who, through that time, explained their stories. And I came into recruiting knowing that I can only sell my passion. I cannot be a genuine, recruiter if I'm only trying to coerce you into signing a contract so we can have a body.
I know you were told in basic training that you were diagnosed with PTSD due to prior things that happened to you prior to joining. So did joining the Army sort of help you kind of tackle that on? Did it kind of make it worse? What was your experience with that? Because I feel like when it comes to PTSD and a lot of veterans, obviously a lot of them could get it through some sort of experience within their time in the military.
That's true.
So I guess explain to me the difference and how that was different to most veterans and to your experience.
Well, interesting fact. PTSD studies, actually, you're gonna have to come back and fact check me, but I'm clear. I want to say I'm at 90% from what I last researched. PTSD studies were actually conducted on women who had survived sexual trauma. So often when we think PTSD, we're thinking it's related to combat, or and I'm just going to be honest and blunt. I was 4 years old when I first was molested. From the age of 4 to 11. 11, I moved with my mom, and after that, the situation had, dealing with that instability. Interesting enough, I spent time talking to other classes. I was selected to do teaching them like AIDS awareness, some other things. I forgot how I even landed in that, but I went around and I would talk to other classes, and from elementary school through high school, and I didn't think anything was wrong because I was able to share my experiences. I'm coming from a place where you only go to the doctor if you absolutely have to, because we don't have insurance, we don't have, so I'm thinking I overcame it, and not knowing. And what happened, I was in formation, basic training. Apparently the command fallout was given, and I was still there at parade rest or attention. I don't know what happened. I remember it vaguely, because I then remember a drill sergeant like, hey, are you here? And it was so weird. So I don't know how they sent me to the counselor. I don't know. But I think something triggered. And I can't say that those were repressed memories. But again, it was something that I was dealing with. But I was put in this position where you got somebody screaming at your face, a male. Joining in 97 wasn't like joining in the 80s, but it wasn't any games then either, you know what I'm saying? Like, I had a drill sergeant literally kick me in the head. So it was a different taste then.
Absolutely.
And so, he was in my face and doing this, and I had no reaction, and I don't remember even what I was thinking. I just came out of it. And so when I went, I had to see a counselor, did the several sessions, diagnosed me with PTSD, gave me the option to stay or go. And I said, please, I want to stay if it's possible. And that diagnosis kind of led me on the path throughout my career that gave me the opportunity to share more of my story and eventually get to a place where, I could speak about it and know that I was processing and living and doing.
That makes total sense. Thank you so much for sharing. I know it's not always easy for people to talk about, but I do, I understand, and I've heard it from other veterans, whether it's PTSD from experiencing combat or anything like what you've said, talking about it a lot of the times helps. And of course, spreading the message, spreading awareness helps other people.
Yes.
So, and I know that's ultimately what the goal is. That's ultimately what's important, to spread the message, spread awareness, so that people that have experience and can come forward, share their story, and ultimately, hopefully put a stop to these sort of things. You know what I mean?
I 100% agree. I spent a lot of my career either speaking. I did a lot of grassroots and major events here in San Antonio. There are several times throughout my career where I kind of was pulled and did a lot of motivational talks, just sharing about like my experiences, trying to remove the stigma and the taboo that surrounds assault. Just needing health, our mental health, especially as leaders. It was something that, I don't know who created this culture, but it was like, you need to hold it together.
Right. You're
okay. You don't have what you think you have, because you have soldiers you need to take care of.
Yeah.
So I had branched that, and I was trying to, wanted to always address that head on, because I wanted to be able to say, we can take care of ourselves and do our jobs. And as a matter of fact, if we take care of ourselves, we're doing our best job. So I could run on that platform all
Absolutely,
day,
yeah. I mean, there's strength in vulnerability.
It is.
Absolutely.
It is.
Because, you know, anybody can put up a front and be like, I'm fine. Don't talk to me. Just leave me alone. Don't worry about why I'm having a bad day.
Right.
Don't worry about why you asked me that. It made me angry.
Right.
Anybody can do that. It is hard to really come true to honest, true feelings about why am I feeling this way?
Yeah.
Am I ready to confront it? Am I ready to tell somebody? If I tell this person why I'm actually feeling the way I'm feeling, am I going to be embarrassed? All these things come up into it, you know, and it's like, and it can go from something as simple as like, I don't know, your wife or your husband getting mad at you that morning for something dumb, or to something very extreme that happened to you in the deep past. And I think, you know, it's a very important message to try to just be honest with yourself and to give other people the patience to have a moment too, you know.
And also giving them, you know, I mean, we don't grant them permission, but we are saying you too can feel and heal and deal and breathe and stretch, and you know, that is a message that, you, like you said, it crosses all, you know, demographics. The ability to say you can heal, you can endure the worst, come out of it, use it for your good, use your story to affect the next person, you know, to possibly help them. It is, it's liberating, it's being of service to others, and it can save a life. I mean, like you said, I know people that an argument with their spouse before coming to work led to a suicide attempt.
Wow.
To a guy that I had the utmost respect for. And, you know, to see later him in this condition and he being an E8 again, you know, that it comes with something. It comes with something. So, yeah.
Absolutely. That's a very, you know, it's such a different take on what I've heard, you know what I mean? But it's a good thing, and it's almost kind of crazy because it almost contradicts the whole military mindset of just do what you're told, don't ask questions, and just go. You know what I mean? But I think that that sort of mindset does have its place, and it can be necessary in certain situations.
And it's going to be necessary in a whole lot of situations.
Exactly.
But you do get a moment to take that beat and breathe and cry and do whatever.
Absolutely. And I think that also needs to be just as accepted.
I agree.
On the offside when it's like, hey, you're off duty, go take a minute to really talk about what you're feeling, experience your feelings, you know, experience them, because the more you press them, the bigger they get.
That's true.
Yeah.
It's true.
It's a good message. Do you think that having that sort of mentality going in, especially like, you know, and during boot camp and all that stuff, very early on, you becoming a leader, did you encounter other soldiers that maybe experienced sort of something like that too, that felt comfortable sharing and unloading some of the things they've experienced before or even inside of their service?
I would have like brigade commanders. I'm not sure how it works in the Navy, but you'll take a unit, right?
Yeah.
Brigade is several battalions. We'll just say thousands people. I've had them come to me and say, can you do some training with us and share your story? Or so-and-so, you know, told me that it's okay if I ask you to talk to them. I know the term neurodivergent is used, and people are learning about, you know, the terminology and understanding what it was. But I spent my time in my career also having been diagnosed with ADHD and OCD and on the spectrum. I mean, so all of these things I had to use. In sharing, I think it was an opportunity to say, somebody's listening. And so I would have the most hardcore people come to me and say, I just got this diagnosis. I'm taking this medication. Like, do you know about this? And like, how did it affect you in your career? I had a beautiful career. Even the recruiting, I had a beautiful career and a beautiful opportunity. And it's because I was able to be, you know, like you said, that lifeline. We're talking about suicide awareness. Something that hits very close to me. I only admitted in another podcast interview with one of my mentors, he and I worked together. He's this amazing guy, and he started like a motivational podcast, and he asked me to come on about resilience, about overcoming and what resiliency means to me. And that was the first time. Now this happened probably about a month or 2 months ago, that I admitted out loud that I had attempted suicide. In attempting, I mean, like in the last couple of years.
Wow.
Like when I was discharged, when I was retired, I had a bitter taste in my mouth for a lot of reasons. I didn't want to leave. It's affecting my body. I don't like a bully. So take that however that works. And so when I left, I was like, I'm done. I'm not doing this. I don't want to see people. I don't want to do this. I live across from Randolph. Hated to go on installation. Went back to Fort Sam maybe twice in the last decade. I had a bitter taste. But I can look back and say that, getting that moment was necessary and lifted that a weight I was carrying, because it felt like I was a fraud. I could say I thought about suicide, harming I had to out loud say it. Yep. I attempted suicide.
Wow.
And I don't want to say it's embarrassing, because it's not. These diseases, people have to understand, they are sometimes chemically induced, which was the case with me. I took myself off of medication abruptly, and I called it the day my brain broke. So the day that I attempted suicide, this is why it's so insidious, dangerous, and necessary to share. I was at my kitchen counter, no one was in the house, and I said, do it right now. Just do it, don't think about it. No one was in the house. And I go upstairs and I'm saying to myself, if I could get this bottle open, it's meant to happen, right? And I took it, and then I looked back and I said, please do not let me die. I did not tell my family goodbye. I have 6 children. 5 of them, my 4 are adults. 1 will be 18 in January. What would that have done to them? Not knowing, not having an answer. And so after that, I was like, please let me live. My husband came in and I lied. I said, I thought about it, told them I couldn't get the bottle open. That wasn't the truth. I stayed alive out of sheer will, because I could feel the medicine taking. I felt like my body kind of collapsed, and I was like, you're going to make it. Just, you have no choice. Now you have the obligation and responsibility, but the fact that quickly, I wasn't doing anything but like making a grilled cheese sandwich or something. It was just, and I thought, after, where was I in my life that the thought, just do it, just do it. I mean, know anything? That terrifies me. It terrifies me for me and for anyone else, and that's why I'm really grateful I had the opportunity to talk to you this month of all months.
Yes. No, I know when you approached me to let me know that you wanted to do this, I know this is a very important topic for you, and it's an important topic at any given moment. We give it September to just say it has a month, but really it should be an all-year thing, and it really is in a way, because we shouldn't just care about it in this month. It should be that's something all the time. So thank you for being willing to share that. I'm hope that it reaches somebody out there who needs to hear this and can maybe relate and just think, I need to do something about it as well. Wow, that's quite a story. And for the record, I'm glad you're here. I'm glad you did not go through it. I'm glad that you pushed through it, and that
Yeah.
You know, that everything that you are still here. I'm glad for that. You know, do you think that, I guess looking back at that now, how did that change you? Do you still feel those sort of things now? Are you looking in different, what kind of coping strategies do you have for things like this? Yeah.
That day, or that night, I said, you need help immediately. And so I called, and I learned a few things. One, I did not know that ADHD in women often presents differently. So we have this idea of what ADHD is. I'm in a very bad depression at this point, not just because of that. It was a decade leading up to it. Being sick and having all these surgeries, and I'm always in the hospital, and you know, it's killing my family. It's doing these things. I made some very poor decisions. I was on opioid medications for like 6 years. I'm taking doses that are so high, and it with no effect, and it just was poison in my body. So I was like, I'm off of it. And I went off, was in a hospital going through all that. And like I said, that was the day like my brain kind of broke. But the depression was deeper. And to be honest, besides having ADHD and ensuring that, you know, we research, I know about the battle of trying to get proper care and getting people to believe you and listen and validate you. But I'm not saying it because I love it here. If it wasn't for Soldiers Angels, I think the outcome would have been worse, to be honest. Because now Soldiers Angels at this point is like a year and a half later. So, but when I came here, I was in a place way worse than I was during the attempt. Vanessa and Marissa, during the interview, I remember them asking, because it was so weird, I'm like, I was on Indeed, you know, I worked at a little dope, you know, hotel. I'm not going to tell their business, but they are amazing, and it was a vibe. Someone had told me, you're depressed. I had made some comments, and I was like, maybe. And it's an amazing job, but I was working 2 days a week, and then in bed, blinds closed, everything, just to have the energy and the motivation to get up for those 2 days. I was miserable, and so somebody was like, you need to look for another job. You have these credentials, you've done this. And I found it on Indeed, and I was like terrified because I was bedridden many years. I'm now talking about going from sleeping in bed 5 days to having to get up every day, you know, and then working in a warehouse. Wasn't in physical shape. But I remember telling Marissa and Vanessa, I'm here for selfish reasons. If I don't do this is it. I need this. Didn't know I need it because I didn't want to see soldiers and people in uniform or BX or PX, you know. So I'm thinking I was good, and I'm realizing I'm detached from a place and amongst people that can say, despite our demographics, you know, military affiliated or veterans or active duty, you know, our service members, veterans, we know what it takes, and it is necessary to be able to talk to someone whom you don't even have to know their story, but probably something in their life relates to you. You know, this veteran internship program, I think, I'm glad that it's here. Soldiers Angels is not only my safe space, but this office, this building is magic. And I say that because it's so random. You know, like people come in like, we have an intern. Bethany, here she is accomplished. She's coming in. And having talked to her and Tanya and other people and thinking, how did people like us needing this? Because not every intern, but in my case, there were many that I could relate to and say, I'm here because I'm lost. You know, I need something. And this place is a place of healing. And this, Soldiers Angels, is really what changed my life. I didn't begin this process of healing until I signed the document saying I was going to start. Prior to that, it was a total mess. Every pain, the sweat, the heat, the stockings, the socks, building boxes, lifting things, no upper body strength when I used to work out religious. I mean, just all of it was giving me purpose. I don't know what it does and how it does it, but for at least 3 people, it changed our lives. It removed the pyramid and put in the semicolon. You know, there was hope. So much is attributed to the opportunity to heal. And someone saying, I remember Amy was saying something the other day, you know, everybody here has a disability. And that's true, like everybody. You served. You might be 12 years old, but I'm pretty sure you have like early knee arthritis. I'm sure.
For the record, I'm 30. Just want to throw that. 31.
Barely, by the way.
Also, quick fun fact, I am also the youngest one here in the office. So
I mean, you have to say that. We know.
Well, yeah, I get reminded every day.
I'm pretty sure you have string cheese and like
some goldfish in my back pocket.
Exactly. You have a lunchbox with a theme. Anyway, stop it, Adrian.
I'll bring it into meatloaf next time.
Meatloaf takes you to 50.
Oh, okay.
Get something bougie, like an avocado toast or something. Something your generation.
Oh, that's so funny.
The 31. You said it like that. Okay, sorry. Anyway, point is that other places I was embarrassed about my disabilities, and here I don't have to be.
Of course.
And I can use it to my advantage and to my benefit. I'm learning how to take those things that might be, disorders, but not disabilities anymore. It's just restructuring the ability. And I have blossomed into a person that is so free that, I've said it before, it feels dangerous. And this is what hope created. It's just crazy. Like, I love Soldiers Angels. I just love Soldiers Angels.
Some couple of last questions that we usually ask all our guests here before we wrap it up. If you had any kind of advice or words of encouragement for anybody who might be considering joining the service, what would you like to say to them?
Oh my goodness. My advice is to do it for what moves and stirs you, because I just cannot say how amazing my life has been because of service. And I really encourage people to do the research. Recruiters gonna spit some game, but realize that we have one of the very few professions where you could literally be 37 and retired. Doing a full 20.
For sure.
Who does that?
Yeah.
I have 3 different types of insurance, all of them from the government. I have sent all of my kids to school, haven't had to pay a dime. I'm saying for anybody that's doing it, don't let it be the fickle things. There's people that do things for legacy, all those things, but if this is something that you are willing to do, be your most authentic self. Bring your passion, bring your motivation, whatever the reason you're joining. I can tell you that I am a patriot through and through. Believe me, I know what this country, I believe, is paying me back generously for the sacrifices that I made and that I was willing to make. So just take that into account. I don't care what branch.
The recruiter came out in you.
Yeah, well, I mean, truly, right? I mean,
put that hat back on real quick.
I mean, I guess.
Finally, last question, since it is September, Suicide Prevention Month, I thought I'd ask you, what message do you have for veterans who might be currently feeling hopeless or alone or thoughts of suicide?
First, I learned that you have to be kind to yourself. You're not there if you're in that place yet, but you'll need to be. I would tell myself, today, me simply opening my eyes is the victory. Search that small victory. But even more, call everybody, anybody, somebody. If that was that easy, we wouldn't have the suicide rate that we have. But if you can just keep your head above water and you keep paddling, that tide or river will lead you somewhere. If all you can do that day is wake up and say, I feel this way, I don't want to feel this anymore, that is the perfect time to start.
Absolutely.
And scream, yell, do whatever. I made a mistake that I will always feel shame for. Always. And now looking at it, I realize that resiliency came in the fact that I was honest enough to say, okay, I was given a chance. It would have been brutal. I don't want to say I'm ashamed of my story, but again, I'm saying that I had to say, if I can get up today, I've done something. And you just keep paddling and swimming upstream. Or if you have to lay on your back and roll over, or take a knee, or lay flat to the ground, being able to pick yourself up or roll back over, those are victories. Those tiny victories, those tiny whispers eventually become a roar. It is something beautiful about pain. One thing that I'm most proud of, I tell my sister all the time, all the adversity we had overcome, all the things that I've been through, built me for my most difficult moments. I feel like I'm dangerous and free because I fell and hit rock bottom so many times. Getting up each time makes you stronger. You realize pain is a necessity. It is life. We cannot avoid it. If you can take that thought, flip it just a little bit, just a tiny bit to change the narrative, maybe change punctuation, change the tone, you can, you become stronger. I mean, so it's crazy. I wish I knew that I thought my life was normal. I didn't know that everybody was hungry, wasn't hungry, or, had shit like furniture. I didn't know. But honestly, that was the greatest healing, is knowing that I've been here before. I've had to get up from here before. It's a little easier each time. And knowing that you can live through it.
Absolutely.
So keep fighting and call this number, any number. Call McDonald's. I promise you that ice cream machine will be down, okay? Their fries will be cold, but somebody in there is going to be a good enough human to say, let me get you help and a 4-piece nugget.
Thank you so much for joining me today.
I hate that you have to cut all of this.
It's okay. Ayauna, you have such an animated, loud personality that I think you bring a certain different vibe to the office that we all have come to love and appreciate. We wouldn't have it any other way. Thank you so much for joining me today and for sharing your story. You know, I know it's always hard for some of these people to share some of these sort of things. So the fact that you're here, the fact that you're telling us, we really appreciate it. I really appreciate it.
And really quick, I'm gonna tell you why I really appreciate you. You ask questions that, I know what you said, but you know, I love that you are the one who gives us the face, the moment, the opportunity. You're so talented at what you do to be only like just out of puberty that I am like amazed. But thank goodness we have you, because you've made some beautiful moments and things like, and I'm proud that you got promoted and that you were like born 6 days ago.
I know, I was like, I'm only 5 years old.
I mean,
yeah, but you know, I'm doing my best. You know?
Thank you for your like Pee-wee service, because it was like JRTC or something.
This is every day, by the way. But like I said, we love it.
No, but
thank you, Ayauna. I do appreciate that. I know you mean well. You're just teasing. We always do. But yes, thank you for everybody for tuning in. And like we stated earlier, Suicide Awareness Month. If you do feel or know anybody who does have suicidal thoughts or tendencies, please do reach out to anybody. Family, friends, it does not matter. Reach out. Nobody wants to see you succeed in that endeavor. Please reach out today.
One caveat. Listen, if you see that person is struggling, we call it battle buddy checks. You notice something off, sometimes you got to do, I've gone to leaders and said, I don't know if you know this, but this person is going through this. And twice, I'm glad that I was able to do it. If you see, if it wasn't for my friend saying, you're depressed, I was like, oh, that's what it is. You have the obligation to speak up to. I don't want to say it's a luxury. No, we have the obligation to speak on behalf of those that we know are hiding behind the false smile and the fake aesthetics.
Yes.
Call whoever. And if they aren't willing to do it, be brave enough for them, care about them enough, and, you know, advocate for them, for their healing, so that we don't have to have a month, a week, or a challenge.
Absolutely.
Let's eradicate this.
Beautifully said, Ayauna. Thank you. And thank you everybody for tuning in. And until next time, may no soldier go unloved. Thanks, guys.